This is quite a big one.
That's a novel thought. You join me and you join him at our work in progress unit for a video all about backdrops. That's it? Oh, cheeky.
So Baz, why do you need a backdrop?
Well, there are loads of reasons you need a backdrop, as we found out the hard way over the years, because I don't think we had a backdrop for about the first 3 or 4 years. I think we always thought it was a little bit soppy. We don't need a backdrop. We're not one of them bands. Backdrop.
It's a bit poncy.
It's a bit poncy. Yeah. No, actually, it's not. I don't know why. But then we encountered other bands and we started playing with other bands that had backdrops, and we immediately they come on stage and the whole production. The first thing that grabs it looks slicker, it looks better. Yeah,
production value, that's the big one really. It's the obvious one. It just adds the visual element to the music.
9 times out of 10, you're playing in a venue and behind you is
well,
just a grotty breeze block wall, or if you're playing outdoors, it's a trailer with the scenery behind you. Why not invest in a backdrop? But it brings the whole stage show together, doesn't it?
Your band identity, it just plays right into that. If it's well designed and integrates itself with your music and your vibe, it's just another piece of the bigger picture that if you get right, it can just it can lift everything else up. I mean, it's obvious, we don't want to patronise people by explaining too much about what a backdrop's about. You know why you need a backdrop, why they're good.
I don't think we're here explaining why you need a backdrop. It's just the importance of a backdrop, isn't it? It is important.
So here's a few considerations to consider if you're getting your first backdrop, or you're moving on to something else, or you've got one and you aren't happy with it. Check it out.
I don't know.
Here's a few considerations to consider while you're considering. Here it is.
Here's our current backdrop. The latest one we used through 2019 and bit of 2018, I think. Don't be tempted to cheap out and get it printed by a guy who works for a wagon company.
Yeah, on the local industrial estate.
Yeah.
Who does printing? He does printing. Let's ask him. Yeah. Yes, I can do it. Of course he can do it because he wants paying.
It was on the tarpaulin that covers the side of wagons.
Like a curtain cider material, wasn't it? And it was horrific.
So we got 2 backdrops, and I remember when they turned up. But I remember there's a picture of me and Bowser displaying it in my dad's
proudly
garden.
in the garden.
Proud as punch. Yeah, that lasted about a week. Don't get it printed onto vinyl. They weigh a ton, crease like hell, and once they're creased, them creases aren't coming out.
The smaller one of the two, we rolled it up and put it in a tube. But the big one for the bigger festivals that we were playing, it looked horrendous.
Yeah, it looked awful.
Let's get it out on the drive and we'll iron all the creases out. So we got my mum's iron and we're trying to iron these big creases out of this rubber. It was awful, waste of time.
But it wouldn't have looked so bad if it was on the right material. It's just that because it was like on a glossy finish with all these creases in it, it looked like someone had just put like you just washed your wagon and you were putting it out to dry.
Absolutely awful, yeah.
So this stuff is made out of, I'm not sure the material, but if you contact any company that print this sort of thing for, this is what they do, then they'll know what to put it on, because it has to be a certain type of material and it's lightweight.
Although you do get creases in it, it's very kind of crease proof, because this gets hammered. At the end of a show though, everyone's packing away, it just gets thrown up and thrown in the bag, and it gets got out of the next show, and it's surprisingly uncreased. And when they're hung up, because of the weight of them, they always look really good.
This is quite a big one, because we designed this so that it fits on the sort of larger festivals we play and the smaller headline shows we play, which is they're getting on to like between 500 and 1,000 cap venues. So we wanted something that would do both. The way this is designed is that it's got this kind of buffer area at the bottom and top. So if you don't have the height of the stage, we've tucked that under and tuck it under at the top. And it's slightly narrower, and it also the same at the sides, so you can bring it in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a 2-for-1 thing. Whereas if you had it filling the entire corner to corner, you're going to find a stage when you can't fit it on. Bigger doesn't always equal better.
Well, it depends who you ask.
If you design it cleverly, then you can have one to cater for all occasions, bar mitzvahs, weddings. So when you've got your design, it needs to be very high resolution because it's going to be blown up to a huge size. How are you going to hang it?
Closer to the left.
So you get these eyelets at the top. Generally costs a little bit more to get these put in, but it makes them so much more convenient. If you turn up to a place and they've got the rail and they've got the hooks ready to go, it's so simple to just hook it on and hoist it up. The other thing with the eyelets, we've got silver ones here. Now in hindsight, it might have been better to get like black chrome ones, because those I've noticed reflect the lights, because they're right up in the lighting rig. But if you don't want that, if you want parts of the gig where there's no shiny sparkles on your backdrop, then get some black chrome ones. At a venue, you don't always get a nice pole to hang your backdrop up off. You might be hanging it up on lighting rigs, all kinds of stuff, pipes.
Ask the stage manager, where do people normally hang their backdrops?
Yeah. Don't just go hanging it around important looking cables and things. So we always carry a couple of these around with us, sort of extendable poles, and it's just a nice, easy, stable system just to put your backdrop up if there's nothing convenient to do so.
Venues that have bands touring and in and out of them on a regular basis, they're generally geared up for this sort of thing. From Zola Bud to Alberta Tomba.
So it's always handy to have a big bag of these. I don't know what you call them. What do you call them?
I don't know, clamps.
Oh yeah, clamps.
Or something. They get them from DI. Well, I think I got these from Aldi. At the bargain supermarkets are available. But yeah, just a big pack. They're used for crafts, for woodwork, joinery, that kind of thing, really. But they're just perfect for hanging your backdrops up. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just in case you've got no rail, or even if you've got a rail but nothing else.
Sometimes there's an RSJ sticking out, or anything like pipe work. Ask permission across first. And no man, not my head. Ah!
These are great. So it's always good practice anyway to advance your show. Tell them what you bring in. Tell them the size of the backdrop. Get the venue's specifications so that you'll know if you're going to be able to use it or not. That's always great in advance. Just do your prep work. You need a fire safety certificate just to prove that this material is flame retardant. You know, because you need to have this now. If you don't have this bit of paper, you could be in a lot of trouble.
And 9 times out of 10, you might not be asked for it. But that one time you don't have it, you're going to be asked for it, aren't you? And you ain't putting your backdrop up without it. So.
Well, not just that, you're going to be fined, I think.
Can you be fined, right?
If you've got it up and
you
you
don't
have
in
this,
life.
yeah. So just get it. I don't think it costs much. It's just a sign off. And most of the printing houses that get these made, they'll supply you with one. So make sure you've got it with you at all times. A few years ago, we did a gig. We put a gig on ourselves in the library in Lancaster, the town where we're from. We needed a bar. Obviously, it's a library. There's no bar there. So we got a contact for some people at Cameron's Brewers who make beer, and in particularly they make the Motorhead APA, the American Pale Ale Road Crew beer, and they bring a mobile bar to your gig. So we thought, we invited them down, and they were happy to do it. So that was really cool. So we thought these guys have a good marketing department, and we thought, well, maybe we'd cheeky and sort of say, well, you want to come do the gig? You know, we'll. Do you want to make us a new backdrop, and we'll put your logo all over it? And they said yeah. So I mean, there's just a good example of how you don't ask, you don't get. You know, we asked them, and they were more than happy to oblige. So here's the design we got. We used this for a couple of years, and it did us really well. And we tried to find a way. They said, right, you've got to put the logo on the backdrop, obviously. Where do you want to put it? It's like, well, it's got to be on there. Make it front and center. I mean, it helps that it's a Motorhead logo. You know, it looks pretty cool. So we said, right, well, we'll just make it symmetrical, put it front and centre, and it came out pretty well. And we got a few comments on that, you know, like, how do you get that up there? How do you get the Motorhead affiliation? And that's how. This backdrop did us a couple of years, and it was fantastic. So the moral of that story is, just ask. Local companies, big companies, whatever. They can only just say no. In this instance, so they said yes, and we got a backdrop out of it. So you Wagons World members, while we got you, this backdrop is now going to become the backdrop of badasses. Yeah. So what we want you to do is the following. Take a selfie up close so your face fills the frame, like this. Then please email that picture to wagonsworldhq@gmail.com. Nice. We're then going to cut it out like this. We are then literally going to take this picture, stick it onto that backdrop, hang the backdrop up in our HQ building. Okay, so alternatives to backdrops. Cab grill cloth. This is a much cheaper, quicker and effective, I think, way of getting some sort of branding on your stage show. Lots of places do this, where you can have whatever you want printed onto whatever material you want. So if you get it onto this speaker cloth, acoustically transparent stuff, at the right size, you can stick these on your cabs.
Very cool. I was trying to stifle a fart, to be honest. I was going to let it go, but I thought, don't really.
Let it go.
One of the other alternatives to using a backdrop, and don't get me wrong, they're great if you're in a small venue and you can't put up a backdrop, is the side screens. There you go.
We don't have any. That's why we're borrowing our managements.
Bands, for me, put the logos on, put the websites on, and that's great. Whatever you're into. For me, I think it makes it look a bit much like a business conference, to be quite honest with you. But you know, it's personal taste and whatever you're into, and whatever you feel, whatever your band's all about, and whatever information you want to get across. But stand up side of the stage, nice and big, nice and bright, nice and bold, nice and cheap. Yeah, what's not to like, really?
They're a bit sterile though, aren't they?
A little bit, that's the word I'm looking for, sterile, yeah. It looks a bit like you're at some sort of flipping...
Here's my band.
Seminar or something, you know. But yeah, if you're out of room and you want to design them well, there's nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with them at all. Sorry, I felt like I was thinking.
Oh God. What's becoming more increasingly popular these days is to not have any kind of physical backdrop at all, and you need it in some sort of digital file, which I think you should have anyway. I think you should be doing that right now. If you don't have any backdrop whatsoever, always have this, because it's becoming more common to see projectors or LCD screens or whatever at the back of venues. So carry a hard drive or a pen drive or whatever around with some nicely sized high resolution images of your logo. Could be whatever, really. This is the great thing about it. It's flexible and it doesn't take up any space whatsoever.
Absolutely.
I remember when we did an arena tour last year. Yeah. It's, in all seriousness, we did some arena dates last year, and this was brand new to us, and we were thinking, God, we need some sort of backdrop here, and we were in support of Lynyrd Skynyrd, and they didn't have a backdrop, and they just brought a giant LCD screen. They gave us the dimensions in advance and said, if we can give them something to display, then they will do it. Like I say, just have it with you, and then if you don't need it, you don't need it. It doesn't cost anything.
It doesn't take up any room.
No.
Yeah, I would say although being small it's easier to lose, but then the amount of backdrops we've lost.
Yeah, don't know where our vinyl backdrops have gone. I don't know.
No, they've gone missing.
If you see them around, you can keep them.
If you see them cruising up the side down the M6.
Those are our cat drops.
Cat drops.
Well, we found this video about backdrops and similar kind of topics interesting and enlightening, and you've learned something.
Yeah. It's a very important part of what you do, and something you really have to take into consideration, and just take, like everything, take your time with it. Make sure you get the right thing for you, and don't waste your money. Research.
Make sure you've got the rest of your house in order first as well, because shouldn't be top of your priorities, really.
And if you wanted some information, just talk to the bands. Talk to us, contact us online. Anything you want to know, it's really no problem. We'll just reply to you and any questions you've got.
And if we've missed anything out and you feel you've got something to add, please let us know in the comments. Really interesting to hear what you think of this, because like most things, we've kind of made this up as we go along.
I don't think they can tell that. You've just given the game away.
They're onto us. Thank you. Like and subscribe. All that jazz.
Subscribe! I've been Baz.
I've been Adam.
If you're going to rock
hard.
and if you're going to take it,
Take the lot.
see you next time.